Call to order the Planning Commission special meeting, Cape Charles Civic Center, 500 Tazewell Avenue, October 30th, 6 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
McDonald present.
Ashworth present.
Grossman present.
Holloway present.
Smith present.
Let it be known that we have a quorum. Can we all stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, consent agenda. Approval of agenda format. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes.
We did give you a corrected set of minutes for your consideration this evening.
So that has the correct unanimous vote on the public availability. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, any other comments on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Unfinished business. Zoning text amendment 2024-01 application for the town of Cape Charles to add a new regulation for short-term rentals, STRs, as a permitted use of certain identified zoning districts and the criteria required in the establishment and operations of an STR by amending the following sections of the zoning ordinance. I'm going to just, section 2.9 definitions, section 3.2 single-family dwelling residential district R1, section 3.3 residential mixed district R2, section 3.4 residential multifamily district R3, section 3-5 commercial residential CR, section 3.6 commercial district C1, section 3.7 commercial district C2, section 3.8 commercial district C3, section 3.9 harbor district, amend section 3.16B permitted uses, amend section 4.2 Bolex J general regulations applicable to all districts, amend section 4.5B Boleg B, Boleg C, Boleg A, Boleg 9 under parking regulations, and add a new section 4.12 short-term rental regulations. Since we had a motion on the floor from the previous meeting and we're still under that motion, we will resume deliberations on motion on section 4.12, Boleg C, Boleg 5, paragraph 3, which is top of page 6. Since Councilman Grossman did such a fine job at the last one in leading this, I'm going to let him continue leading this. So,
All right. Before I get into it, I wanted just to summarize the topics that we had gotten through public comments and letters. We had the use of a cup. We discussed parking, limitations to 5 SDRs. We talked about violations, insurance, occupancy, enforcement, publishing of owners' telephone publicly, which we addressed, and age limit for counting or not counting within the occupancy. And the last item I had here was bunk beds. So those were just the categories as we get through our sections to recall those particular things. So given the fact that we have 2 members here that were not last time, I just want to go back to the beginning, and that's for any of us. Is there anything that you have that you want to add or address in the sections leading up to where we cut off on page 5.
So I'll speak first. I've read all the comments, and our comp plan, we are a friendly town, a Mayberry town. We like a small town family, and I'd like to revisit the number or the age limit, because right now, the way it's written, you can't have bunk beds in a room. You just can't have bunk beds, because unless you just have one bunk bed with 2 people in it. So 2 families come and have kids 7 to 12. Both families have those ages, and there's a room with bunk beds, 2 bunk beds, they can't be in it. So I think we need to discuss that. I really do, because that put in all the comments that I've read, and even the ones tonight, address that. So I'd like everybody else to weigh in on that.
I agree, that was the one thing that I read through all the notes from the last meeting, all of the public comments and the public comments received tonight, and I agree. You know, we need to make exception for kids. They don't drive, they're not gonna have cars. It aligns with Airbnb, that 12 age limit, and so it's easy for them to monitor, the owners to monitor. I think it makes sense.
My left brain and right brain at the last meeting were debating this, and I proposed a 12, moving that to 12, and then as the discussion went, I wasn't really sure I was there. As each and every one of these comments have come in, it reinforces what my left brain was saying when I made that motion. So,
I think your limit of 12 and under is a good one, Ian, to be honest. I started thinking about that. I saw one comment that came in that said that limit should be 18. Well, guess what, folks? Youngsters get driver's licenses at 16 in the state of Virginia. So that would possibly increase a parking requirement if there are additional children coming with adults. So I like the idea of 12. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to put a motion on the table. We'll see if we get a second, and then we can further discuss
Can I
it.
offer a comment?
Go ahead,
Sure,
go ahead.
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So agree with everyone here. I think there's a way to address all of the comments that came in for our previous meeting and the additional ones that were just received. And there's a way to do it without exacerbating the parking situation. And Jim, you hit on it. Mm-hmm. Given that fact, I think Libby at the last meeting, her motion proposed that the age limit be 15, and there was some pushback to that. So I'd like to, maybe just reopen the discussion. Given that kids who don't have a driver's license are going to come here with their parents, you can't get a driver's license until you're 16. 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds are not going to have driver's licenses. Why doesn't it make sense to have the cutoff at 15?
I can see that, and from the notes I read, I think there was a statement around golf carts. But in my knowledge is they're not legally allowed to be driving golf carts until they're 16.
Correct.
Licensed.
Correct.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I agree with you, Bill. So I will change my position. I agree that I think 15 is a reasonable.
So I made that comment, and I agree. The concern wasn't about legal use of golf carts. The concern was the use of illegal use of golf carts. 15-year-olds illegally and blatantly use golf carts inappropriately and in an unsafe fashion. So it had an unlimited number of 15-year-olds in every home could be an issue. I think 12 is a more reasonable number. One, because that's where the platforms draw the line. And there's a lot less likelihood of 12-year-olds or younger getting behind the wheel of a golf cart. That was the reason of this That was what it was meant
So-
for, not to suggest that it's legal for them.
I think that's arbitrary, though. We have to, if our premise is that we're trying to control parking, then 16 is the age it should be. I've seen kids who I'm getting older, kids look younger, but I'm pretty sure 13-year-olds driving around golf carts on Bay Creek. So I think 15, 16 is the legal age to drive golf carts. That's a separate problem if we've got 15-year-olds driving around.
But this solves that problem as well. Why not consider this as, you're gonna exacerbate that problem trying to solve this problem. If you yourself acknowledge that 13-year-olds could be driving golf carts, then making the age 15 exacerbates the problem.
Right.
So by making it 12, I bet you probably haven't seen a whole lot of 11-year-olds driving golf carts.
Well,
I'm sure it happens, but it
A
doesn't happen.
15-year-old's not gonna have an ID. So what prohibits their parents from saying they're 12? I think we're just getting into.
But that's the same thing that's going to happen at 15 or at 5. The ID issue is going to be there for whatever age.
It's a separate issue, John. Then we have rules and regulations and we have laws on the books where if you're underage and you're driving a golf cart, if you're 15 years old, you get cited.
But
You
it's an
get fined.
enforcement issue that I can't enforce. So you're making it harder for me to enforce that law, is all I'm saying.
One of the other things that we discussed last time with age 12 was Airbnb's platform has
I did see
up through
that.
12, and that's why we kind of talked about it at the time. All right, I'm going to put a motion on the table, and we can go from there. For occupancy, I want to propose that we recommend excluding children 12 years of age or younger. There should be no more than 2 lodges per bedroom, and I'm adding +2, with the maximum number of overnight lodges per dwelling to be no greater than 10. And in the second paragraph, the conditional use permit then would be changed from more than 5 to language saying that a couple could come in for a bedroom of 5 or more. So so that's my motion. I'll ask for a second, and then we can talk from
Can you
there.
say that motion
Yeah, I didn't
one more
understand.
time?
All right.
Because I didn't understand the
Or
plus 2 at
can we
all.
take it in individual parts?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm looking at the age limit going to 12. And then per bedroom, we have 2 lodges per bedroom, and I'm adding +2.
What does that mean?
That means I can have a bunk bed in there such that one room could have 4 people, 4 over 12. So that's addressing my bunk bed rooms, and still retaining a maximum of 10. So if I have a 4-bedroom house, I can have 2 per bedroom, and if I have bunk rooms, I can have another 2, and that's my 10 max.
So
If-
we're willingly going to violate our definition of bedroom.
No. The bedroom is based on
Square footage,
square footage, okay, but it says,
has nothing to do with beds, types of beds.
correct, but it tells you that it's defined as a bedroom, right? We're saying here for a short-term rental, I'm going to put 2 people and allow for bunk beds in a particular room.
But what if there's not enough square footage to support 4 people? Because the building code requires,
Well, then I can tag on, unless the building code dictates otherwise. That would address a bunch of comments with regards to bunk beds. We talked about the age.
could you accomplish the same thing by giving the exception to the 2 people per bedroom? Well, let me rephrase this. The way our attorney wrote this was specifically to eliminate whatever child age group we decided on.
That's correct.
Whatever that is, that's excluded from the requirements.
Correct.
So by changing the 5 to 12,
So,
you could have as many 12-year-olds in a bedroom as you want, because that group is excluded from this requirement. What this does is saying that anybody over 12, you're limited to 2 over 12 per bedroom.
Correct.
So you don't need to add the +2 in there, that's confusing.
No.
It gets you your.
No.
He's saying
No.
he wants to
No.
be able to have 4 adults in one
That's
room.
correct.
Oh, for adults?
Like in,
That's correct.
like in bunk beds.
Oh,
That's correct.
okay, I didn't understand.
Parents can take bunk beds and the kids can go above, even if they're age 12 and above.
You know, they also have bunk beds where you have like a
big
double on the bottom and just a regular twin on the top. So, I mean, I've seen them, so.
So John and Katie, the language also says 5 qualifying bedrooms.
Correct.
And one of the comments that came in for tonight's meeting talked about how they've redone their home to have a loft area that sleeps 4 to 6 people.
That's not legal. From a building code perspective, it
So that was-
doesn't have its necessary safety egress and ventilation.
So that was my,
So they may have redone it, but was it done under the building code?
so when we're talking qualifying bedrooms, we mean compliant under the building code.
Yes.
And the zoning code.
And the zoning
Zoning
code.
code also defines.
We define the bedroom as pursuant to the building code.
So that homeowner could come and have it looked at and said, we want to have this zoned as a qualifying bedroom.
Not unless they made the structural changes necessary for it to qualify.
So,
Has there been any discussion or any thought given? It seems like we're getting wrapped around the axle on
Okay,
the
hold on,
bedroom
let me
issue.
stop,
Oh,
stop.
Sure.
Right now, we got a motion on the table, either I get a second or not, and if not, it dies and we go further discussion and further motions.
do I have a second?
I second.
Okay.
All
So
right,
we have a
so
motion
let's
and a
open it
sec-
up
and a second
again
on the
for
floor.
discussions there.
Can we repeat the motion?
All right, so the motion is excluding children 12 years of age or younger. There shall be no more than 2 lodges per bedroom plus 2. With a max, remaining is a max current overnight for 10, no greater than 10.
So, why not just change the 2 to 4 then?
Well,
I
because then
let's
I
say 2 plus 2, why not
Because
say
you don't
4?
want 4 in every bedroom.
Correct.
But-
And I'm limiting it to a maximum of 10 anyway, so.
Why don't we want 4 in every bedroom? If they can accommodate it, there's 2 bunks, and you have 2 13-year-olds and 2 parents. What's wrong with that?
Your wording, Paul, would not prohibit 4 people in every bedroom.
No,
You're-
I'm limiting the number of people, well, again, I'm limiting the number of lodges per bedroom plus 2.
So
So-
in every bedroom, you could have 4.
No. 2 per bedroom plus 2. So if I have a 4-bedroom house, I have 2 for bedroom, and I can add another 2 gets me to 10.
In that bedroom or anywhere?
Anyway,
Oh,
Okay.
so a +2 max, so that's the additional.
correct.
For
That's
one
the way
bedroom.
it's worded. It's not 4 people per bedroom, it's
But you
2
say-
per bedroom plus another 2 wherever you want to put them.
Okay, I didn't quite catch
Yeah, I
it
didn't
that
understand that
way.
either.
I didn't
Okay,
understand
okay.
that either.
Okay, I understand now. But that still doesn't answer the question. What if you have a qualifying bedroom that comfortably sleeps 4? 2 13-year-olds and their mom and dad. They have 2 bunk beds. They have a bunk bed.
Well,
the other
Paul's
bunk bed.
And I'm saying you can have that.
That's right, they could slip.
Under Paul's motion, you could do that, but just on one of the rooms.
Correct,
But just in one of them.
correct.
Just in one of
Uh-huh.
them, yeah.
Because I'm, again, worried about occupancy, I still have the max 10 in there.
So the maximum number of people
Still time.
is still 10.
Correct. For ages 13 and above, the way it is, age 12 or younger, so it could be anything over 12 would be counted as towards the 10.
And how would, okay, and I know, Paul, I think you were also referencing the next paragraph.
Yeah, the next paragraph, I'd have to
So,
change there.
how would- yeah.
5 to 5 or more, that phrase. The phrase more than 5 would have to change to 5 or more.
Correct. Because it's no longer,
Correct. Right.
Five
One of our
bedroom
houses
could
here,
now do
one of our
12
letters
people.
said I have a 5-bedroom house, fine. Bring a cup and you can discuss
So if you had, so again, if you had like, okay, so if you had 6 bedrooms, that would be,
Come talk to us.
come talk to us.
Okay, so you'd be striking the words more than and adding 5 or more.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, now it makes sense.
Okay, so, I mean, the permutations, there's like a lot of possible permutations, I think, here. So if you only had 4 qualifying bedrooms, right? But your house could still sleep like 12 comfortably. Are you out of luck under
Yes.
this language?
Yes, for over 12.
Over 12.
Correct. For
Unless
those,
you get a conditional use permit.
no.
No,
No.
no.
Conditional
no.
use permit comes only
No.
for 5 bedrooms or
Yeah.
more.
So if you have 4 spacious, if you're 4 bedrooms, each can sleep 3 comfortably. There are, let's say, 6 13-year-olds. You have 3 families, 6 13 years old. Let me get my math here, and 2 parents each. You're out of luck, even though you're not exacerbating the parking
No, you're
problem.
saying I'm 6, I got 6?
Sure, you have 6 13-year-olds and their parents,
Correct.
and 6 parents. You're out of luck.
Well, it gets me to 10.
It'll get you over.
Gets you over 10.
It gets you over 10.
No, I'm not adding
6.
them. 6 over.
6 and 3 6.
6 kids, 6 parents, 3 families.
Oh, 3
Mom and dad,
okay,
mom,
okay.
mom and dad A, mom and dad B,
Yes,
mom and dad C.
I agree with that. Yes. It
That-
it
that-
excludes you. And your extra car.
Well, but you have 4 bedrooms.
So-
So so it's not an extra car.
So I guess if I could offer a reminder, I think I tried to mention it last time. Yes, if you're looking at it just from the point of view of can this building support that comfortably, you're right. You have to remember, this is a policy call that the town council is weighing as a compromise to other issues, okay? There's a strong contingent of this community that wanted caps put on it, as a means to try and rein in the sense of community that it feels is being lost. The compromise the town council came up with was to limit the occupancy to 10. Yes, that's going to mean some of these businesses will not be able to function at maximum efficiency. Yes, that's part of the compromise. So you have to look at this as the whole picture, not just this one little piece. So I'm just letting you know, because that's what the council's going to. I mean, you can make whatever recommendations you want, obviously, but the council's already discussed this. The council's already made the policy call that they want to limit this to 10 per house. So you can make whatever recommendation you want, but that's where council is right now.
Well, I think I am looking at the policy as a whole generally. And my point is that not all properties are created equal, and that there are properties out there, we have them in the comments here, that can comfortably sleep more than 12 people, but they have less than 5 qualifying bedrooms. There's not going to be any harm to the parking situation. And yeah, so I'm just, maybe the way to go about this is, looking at the conditional use permit language, but we're trying to be fair to everybody here. And I've put out an example that, it doesn't seem like there's any harm in it, but those people are not going to be able to get their permit.
Mr. Chair, I support the first part of Mr. Grossman's amendment to raise the age to 12. I think when he adds the +2, he just added 2 cars potentially. And because now I could be bringing in 2 additional adults and each could have a car, and we're going to exasperate the parking. So I do not agree with his +2. I like the first part, 12 years old. I don't like the +2 piece because as Mr. Hosey has said, there is a balancing in this. And so, my feeling is we ought to stick with the first change the age 5 to age 12, and make that the only change we make at this point here.
Others?
Are you offering an amendment to
Well,
the motion?
I wanted some discussion before I made an amendment that wasn't going to go anywhere, but I would be happy to make that amendment.
Yeah, let's put it on the table.
I
Okay,
think the +2 could be confusing to people.
yeah,
It is confusing.
it is, yeah.
I'd like to make an amendment to that, to strike everything after the change to excluding children 12 years of age or younger. And make that, so effectively, the change is that one word, 5 becomes 12, and that would be it.
All right, do I have a second for that?
Second.
All right, I have a motion to strike the +2. Discussion? All right, I call for a vote then. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, so that struck out the +2. We're back to the 12. And since that is now addressed with the +2 all, then the more than 5 qualifying bedrooms would be retained.
Yes.
All right? So I would ask that a motion be made that we retain the second paragraph as written.
I make a motion, we retain the second paragraph as
Well,
written.
Mr. Point of,
There was no
point of order.
Go ahead.
Ian's amendment fixed that problem for you. He withdrew, he took all that out, and the only thing that remained was changing 5 to 12. So you don't need to make another amendment. His amendment took care of it.
All right. Is that correct? Okay.
Okay.
Then we're all set. The only thing that changes in there is the 12 years of age. All right? All right, so is there anything else that we want to talk about before we continue on? Jim, you had put something on the table here?
Yeah, I put something in front of each one of you. I don't have anything for Mr. Hosey, but,
I've shared yours.
okay. This idea came from Councilwoman Holloway, my wife. And the idea is to create what's called a learning panel. And that would be for all registered STRs to participate in every year. And we could record that. And that could be something that as you are getting ready to consider being an STR participant and rent, that you would go through that sort of a training thing. So that it would answer a number of things, you know, zoning, the vacation owners rental group, owners group, things that you need to do with the treasurer with regard to transient occupancy packs, the B poll, you know, those kind of things, noise as well. So that would be something that we could record, and then it could be used as a training device as we're getting ready to issue a business license.
So I'd ask you to turn to page 4 on the permitting requirements, item number 2. We have a series of items that people have to come to the table. What I'm hearing Jim offer up is an H would be a learning panel that would have to be,
It's only honor system.
well, honor system, yes. It would also,
So
go ahead.
I'm struggling to figure out how to construct it. I don't disagree with the concept. I think the concept is good. I question whether it's appropriate to put it in the zoning ordinance. Because the information could change, the type of, especially if you want to reiterate what is in this training, well, that could change over time, and that's going to require a text change in the zoning ordinance, which is incredibly cumbersome. My suggestion is that we retain that idea. We can implement that idea without being in the zoning code. We can make that an internal policy of the town. But to try to codify that into the zoning ordinance is kind of cumbersome.
Okay.
I mean, I like the idea, but I think we need the flexibility to update it every year, especially since you're making it kind of a honor system anyway. You know?
Right.
So I think that's something you task the town manager and the zoning administrator with, to say,
Yeah.
you know,
I think
let's
the
look
whole
at this
i-
training program, and we'll make that available to the public every year.
And the whole idea was it would be sort of a place where you could get answers without actually having to go
No, I think it's a good
to
idea. I just don't think
and bother a
it's
staff
zoning.
member on a regular basis. I mean, it could be a recorded
Yeah.
system for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it, and if this passes, I mean, yes, we'll implement it.
Okay.
I just don't think it should be in the zoning ordinance itself.
Do we have an STR handbook for owners of STRs in the city?
Well, until you actually have an ordinance, there's no need for a handbook yet.
So
But we can make-
that would be really good to accompany this.
Yeah.
Trainings are great, but it's really nice to have a handbook that you're like, oh, I can look at it later online, so you can change it easily, whatever. We don't have to print them out all the time for the cost of that, but it is nice to have
I agree.
an online handbook.
Yeah, we'll put together materials, once we figure out what we're doing, we'll put together materials.
All right, so I want to move on then. This is just going to be an internal thing that we'll pick up at council and discuss as well. So I'm going to return then to where we left off and pick up on page 6. All right, page 6, the top is another paragraph under occupancy. Town retains the right to investigate. Anybody have an issue there? Item 6, business license, posted. Any problems? Item 7, go ahead.
No problem, but maybe this is a good time to revisit I know there was some confusion regarding some comments in the minutes as to the public availability of contact information.
No, we struck that out.
Oh, we did strike it out.
That
Okay.
was
It was corrected. Okay,
That was
okay.
struck out earlier.
Okay,
Corrected
okay.
meeting minutes.
Oh, got it. Sorry. Thank you.
All
Thank
right?
you.
All
Okay,
right.
good. Okay.
Signage, any question there?
No?
Item 8, refuge requirements.
I did see a couple of comments, or at least one comment, about the requirement to have 2 trash receptacles for the entire year.
You don't have to, so when we get to the regular code, regular ordinance, we deal with that. So we've given up, we have a provision in the it's not in zoning, it's in the town ordinance.
Town code.
That addresses that, that if people don't want that second one for the winter, as long as they're not using it as an STR, they can have it pulled.
Okay,
So you don't deal with that because it's not zoning, but it's on the council's agenda to do.
okay, all right, that's good.
That question, should that be in the zoning? If the town's got other place that they're documenting this, and do we need it in both places? I'm just asking for simplification. The fact that in one place we say you have to have 2, and another place you say, you really only have to have 1.
You have to have 2 if it's an STR, and then if you shut your STR down for the winter, there's a provision in the town code to seek a
Okay.
reduction in your bill for those months.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right, moving on. Number 9. Any questions on noise? Number 10, safety equipment. On 11. All right. Moving on to inspections. We have an initial inspection of item number 1. Then number 2, annual reinspection. And item 3, building code official has a right to inspect if something occurs. Anything on inspections? All right, violations.
Question on the inspection.
Go ahead.
For the annual reinspection, does the town have the staff to go out and do that?
Well-
And is it necessary to do an annual reinspection, or do we think, once you've done it once, could it be would the town be in better position?
So we actually, the committee recommended doing it once or maybe every 3rd year and having a self certification in the interim years. Council did not like that.
Okay.
Council came back and said, no, we want it done every year. So when I bring this to council for approval, I'm going to have a price tag with it.
Okay.
That's going to include a staff member to be able to implement.
All right, you all set?
Yes.
All right. Violations, all right, so we have a listing of things that would be considered violations. And we can take them one by one. 1A, business license. B, failure to pay taxes. C, failure to pay all business taxes in the prior year. D, failure to file and pay transit occupancy tax for the previous 3 months. Okay, so we've got to keep current with that. Falsifying. E. F, I want to open up to discussion there on other applicable
What
town
is it?
zoning violations.
Yeah, what is
and-
that?
And the thought process there are examples.
Chapter 22 of the town code has a plethora of violations. So, I mean, even if you just,
No, these are zoning violations. These are not town code. These are zoning violations.
Right.
All right?
Correct.
So that's where I'm saying, we can talk examples. Okay, so let me just throw out dark sky, signs. This is saying if we have a sign violation, that becomes now a violation here for the STR. Is that really what we want?
Okay, so I'll pick up anything else. So they could be, they could have put an accessory structure, an accessory garage that didn't get permitted, didn't get approved at all. That would be a violation, a zoning violation, and we would have to enforce that.
Not STR related.
No, but it is a violation.
Okay, but
and-
it's then,
And one of the things that we do consistently is if there is a zoning violation that is open and has not been resolved, then no further town permits can be obtained for them to do anything further. under the
okay, so
zoning
can we insert non-STR in there to make it clear? Because this, right away, I'm looking for other zoning violations relative to STRs.
Oh, I see.
You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. So, and the other
Well, let's
thing-
finish that thought.
So
Yeah.
your suggestion is after the word other, put in non-STR.
Right.
Yes.
So okay.
So if I have a zoning violation that has nothing to do with my operating my STR, I still can't get my STR permit?
That's what this is saying.
like if you put a fence in and
Yes,
it didn't get a permit for it,
yes. Because again, zoning approvals, building approvals, they are, I won't say privileges, but they are earned items given by the town for compliance with our laws.
Understood. And what are the penalties for violation, for
Depends
this?
on what it is.
Right. So we already have violation, we already have penalties for violations of those zoning violations. Already have penalties for those zoning violations, even if it's not related to the STR. So now we're going to punish the STR owner twice. We're going to punish them for the violation, and we're going to take away their permit.
I didn't say I'm taking away their permit, but at this point in time, it's telling them they have to comply with all of the town laws, period.
Well, not only zoning violations, not all of the town laws. I mean, this wouldn't include parking tickets, right? Okay,
Yes,
right.
correct.
I mean, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't, and I agree, I highlighted the same provision, Bill. The only thing that sort of like, raises my eyebrow on this is if you go back to section B3, permits are valid for 1 year and can be renewed each subsequent year if there are no permit violations. So this policy, this is a one strike and you're out policy, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
After an investigation and hearing process.
And it says may.
and it says does not say may, it
It
doesn't
says
say
may
shall.
be
It does say
denied.
may.
If there's something that's in a long debate on a zoning issue,
Right.
you could, the town could still give you your short-term rental permit for a year while it's being worked and resolved.
Right.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. I think it's excessive to punish the STR owner twice if their violation has nothing to do with their operation of the STR.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion that we amend E1F to say other non-STR applicable town zoning violations. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion there? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Bill, did you vote? I didn't hear you. Ashworth,
I abstained.
you abstained. Okay, thank you. I needed to know that.
Okay. G deals with failure to provide responsive actions. H, two or more.
So could we just, to assess that? So, again, I just kind of go back to the vagueness of G. I mean, does responsive action, that could mean like just, getting the complaint and saying, I disagree with you. I think I'm in compliance. I think I actually didn't exceed the occupancy limit. I mean, does responsive mean they have to cure, or does it just mean they have to be responsive? I'm guessing it's just they have to be
Yeah,
responsive.
that's the way I'm reading it. It's responsive.
That's the wording, it's in there, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
because the next paragraph down below talks about resolution of the violation, so we'll get to that.
Okay.
All right? All right, H, two or more violations of safety. I, two or more violations of occupancy limits. All right, moving on to the next paragraph, reasonable notice. All right, this is where you're talking now, resolution of the violation. Any comments or questions on that paragraph?
Is it written correctly?
It's written by our lawyer, right?
Well, I got it.
Reasonable
Lawyers are
notice.
not perfect all the
Good.
time. Reasonable notice is satisfied when an authorized town official notifies a zoning permit holder or agent of a condition violating requirements of this section and 24 hours pass without resolution of the violation.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's not-
So we notify them, once they're notified, they have 24 hours to correct it. If they do, then there's no violation.
Okay.
I think that's a very short time if there's contention as to whether or not there's been a violation. I mean, when I first read, I like the fact that there has to be an investigation. Whoever's, town administrator, Chief Pruitt or whatever is going to go and investigate whether or not there's a violation, and then they would present them. But again, what happens if the owner disputes the findings? It would seem like they almost can't dispute the findings. They have to cure within a day, or they're going to lose their permit.
So I'm looking at the whole list of violations. So either they got a business license, they can prove their business license is valid. That's easy enough to produce that evidence.
Sure.
Same thing if taxes somehow are now saying they're unpaid. They can produce proof that they paid all real estate taxes owed for the year, right? Same thing on the TOT taxes. So again, that is something that if they're found in violation or we think there's a problem here, they can produce proof that they've made those payments. If not, then they need to cure that.
Sure, those are easy to cure.
Or if somehow we now find the application or forms that they filled out were not accurate. Again, if they are accurate and we got it wrong, then they can produce that information. Again, whatever other applicable town zoning violations may be going on, they would have been notified of those through that process. So,
But again, they have 24 hours to cure. So this could be, again, and it's any non-STR town zoning violation. So say it's a fence. They have to tear down their fence within 24 hours.
Bill, I
No?
read this completely differently.
Oh, okay.
I read this, if you go back to item
Yeah.
H,
Right?
which ends with following reasonable notice.
Yeah.
And then the definition of what reasonable notice is right down there below that. And that's the only place that references reasonable notice, says that reasonable notice is, you've been told this by a proper person and 24 hours passes without so at that point you have reasonable notice. That's the way I read it. I'm not a lawyer, I think you are. But that's the only reference to reasonable notice is H.
Where are you reading from?
I has it as well.
Where is this? Ian?
So if you look at H and I, they both end in reasonable notice. And I think the next thing is just describing what reasonable notice is. It is nothing more, all it is saying is,
Right,
reasonable
right,
wait-
but the 24-hour clock only ticks on H&I.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a question about the note, because that.
Oh, we haven't gotten there, let's.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Ian. I see what you're saying. Right, okay. So this doesn't, you're saying this language doesn't have to do with cure. This just has to do with reasonable notice.
I think it's the definition of what reasonable notice is.
Yeah. that's the
You agree
intent
with
of
that,
put-
Paul?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
the
okay.
intent of putting
All right.
that
Okay.
wording in there. All right.
Okay.
Jim, you had,
Yeah.
on the
So,
note,
On the note, for an individual nuisance or noise violation, this implies that this goes to the person using the STR.
that is correct.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't the owner of the STR be put on notice that that is happening within the property?
Correct. So that would be, that would come above. So let's say someone's having a party making too much noise in violation of our noise ordinance. Police show up, they give the person making the noise the ticket. We also then contact the contact person on here. They have 24 hours to cure that, make sure it doesn't happen. So that's why it says it could be both. So there's a process for dealing with the owner or operator of the STR, but we also hold the person doing the
Right.
violation responsible as well.
Thank you.
And that's the second phrase of this, in addition to any consequence to the zoning permit holder.
So, back to your comment, it sort of begs the question. How long does the property owner have to cure the defect if it's not 24 hours?
So if I go back to H,
Is there-
2 or more violations of safety building code requirements
Right.
within the safe calendar year that are not cured. So if I have an issue in June and another in July, as long as I got them fixed by December, they're cured. And I come back and submit my permit, they're cured and I'm good to go at that point.
So it would be a couple of months then?
That's the way this reads to me. Because it's only the next time I come up.
Same calendar year,
Yeah.
both of them.
2 or more
So
violations
we're
within the
talking
same
about these very
calendar
specific
year.
things. So if there's a safety violation,
Yeah.
bad fire extinguisher,
Right.
Whatever, okay, that has to be cured within 24 hours. If it's not, that's one of your 2.
That's one of my
That's one
2.
of your 2.
Okay.
Now, if you do it again in July, you have a bad
Now I have 2.
smoke detector, and that's not cured within 24 hours. That's your 2. That's a violation.
So which of these are required? So only H and I require 24-hour resolution, is what you're saying?
Correct. That's the only one that's referencing reasonable notice.
I see, okay. Okay,
So the same thing with occupancy. So if someone says, well, you've got 15 people in this house, you only have 10, you've got 24 hours to get rid of 5 people.
okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, Jim, does that take care of
It
your
does.
Okay.
questions?
Thank you.
All right? And then the last paragraph in the violations, their violations will be investigated. Any questions there? All right, moving on to 2. If an owner has been denied pursuant to this section, eligibility is discussed. Any questions there? All right, item number 3, before denial, the following written notice, and we have a description on the steps taken on notification, A, B, and C. Any questions there? All right, so we've gone through this. We've had a couple amended to our motion once this is all put on the table. And I'll go back to that original motion then that we said would adopt this with the amendments that we just agreed to.
Can I raise a question?
Go ahead.
Just and this is more for John and Katie. I'm just wondering, was there any discussion during, the meetings that have gone on with town council over the past years about, let's say the pendulum swings the other way, right? And I'm talking to what happens if there are multiple reports of violations for a particular property that turn out to be frivolous and are oftentimes frivolous? How would the town sort of
That's why I
handle
said
that?
as determined by town investigation. So a town investigator would look into these, especially if there's a history of being frivolous.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
The investigator would know that. And we would keep records, and we would not bring it forward as a violation. And that's why we put that catch in there, that a neighbor just can't report you and say, okay, you're creating a problem, and therefore it's a violation. The neighbor reports you, the town will investigate it to determine whether it actually is a violation or not.
Right.
And if it's frivolous, it won't be counted.
But if there's an ongoing pattern of frivolous violations, there's no recourse. You just have to keep rejecting them.
We haven't thought about that.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so the motion that was on the table was seconded, and I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Does everybody understand all the elements that make up your motion?
Yeah. It's the individual amendments that we've made all along has now been folded into the original motion.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure Jack knows how to write this up. What we're voting on, that's it.
Well, we're voting on the motion that we made
For all the amendments.
last meeting, right? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so the motion passed, and we've got something to recommend to town council.
That's it.
Turn it back over to you, Mr.
All
Chair.
right. Number 5, announcements. Next meeting, November 18th, 2024, 6 p.m. It's a Planning Commission Town Council joint public hearing on
Everything else besides that.
all the zoning ordinances, and you will get a big binder that's got all the underlines and reds and all that before, at least, it's got to be a week before, right?
We're going to get it out for Friday.
Oh, okay,
See
so,
if we can do this.
Yeah.
so, this is the first, probably the first of, at least more than one, hope not.
What? What?
But
I didn't hear you.
I said it could be more than one session, right? Well, we'll see.
Session for what?
All right, so that's November 18th.
I think we've been working on for 2 years with you. You've getting more than one session to review it all? Sorry, just checking.
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.